What is up, Cabbage Crew? It is Matt and John here talking about some breaking news today on March 6th. And that news is that they have announced that Netflix's Avatar The Last Airbender is going to be getting a season 2 and 3. Not necessarily the anime, but it's part of the family. Part of the
It is
family.
part of the family?
It's like the homeless uncle that you're like,
The
we still love
homeless
him.
uncle. At least give him a home.
Yeah, it's like we still love him. He has some bad qualities, but you know what? We still love him, and
He's the air nomad uncle. There you go.
yeah, he has potential. You know what I mean? Like he has potential. He's a smart guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're gonna be talking about some of that. We're gonna be talking about our maybe predictions of season 2, maybe not 3 because we haven't even seen season 2 yet. Some things we're looking forward to, some things that some changes that need to be made. That we think that need to be made.
If they haven't been clear already.
If they haven't been clear already. And then yeah, we'll kind of break all that down. Before we start, John, you said you had a little story you wanted to tell.
I do.
So go ahead and tell your story to the cabbages.
Yep. So Cabbage Crew. I know Matt is looking like he's like a TV host right now with a mic up to his face, like he's like interviewing some famous person, but he's not. He's just having a mic close to his face. It's okay.
Yeah. Change of
but-
scenery.
Right.
These news stories are a little bit more relaxed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes it more relaxing and chill. You look more professional.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So, in other breaking news, this literally happened to me not even 3 hours ago. So I go to work early in the morning. I parked at the casino because it's free parking near.
Was someone like John? John, are you John from the Cabbage Crew?
Well,
I've been following you for weeks.
It's actually related to the Cabbage Crew.
Okay, go ahead.
So I park at the casino like 1 or 2 days a week because it's free parking, because Pittsburgh has horrible parking for like not free parking. And after work, I'm like having dinner with my girlfriend. We're having a good time, blah, blah, blah. And we go back to the car where the casino's parked, or where the car's parked in the casino.
Mm-hmm.
And I unlock the door, I'm about to go in. My girlfriend notices a note on my car, and it reads, "Go eat a cabbage, dipshit." and so, and this is Matt's first time hearing the story too.
We have a bad cabbage.
Whoa.
I have a rotten cabbage in the group.
So what happens is my girlfriend picks it up from the windshield and she's like, who did this? And she's like about to throw it away. And I'm like, no, this is podcast worthy. And so I'm like, don't throw it away. Don't throw it away. And so I go we get in the car, and I'm like, yeah, like I'm just wondering, like why my car? Like, why didn't this person do anything to any other person's car? And I'm like, wait a minute, cabbage, dipshit. And I'm like, my good friend Ben also parks at the casino. And so we call my friend Ben, who's also part of the Cabbage Crew. He's a Cabbage Crew member.
He's official, yeah.
And so found out he's the one who wrote this message on the wind and put on the windshield wiper. So shout out to Ben. Cabbage Crew member Ben.
You cabbage your Sokka when he had to solve that mystery, John. He had to solve that mystery in Avatar Day.
That's right. And we called him up and asked him if he was the one who wrote it, and he fessed up to it.
Fessed up to it.
Yeah.
Well, Ben, I applaud you. Not wrong. That would be really funny if it was like a random person.
Right, though. Loki was hoping a random person. I wish it wasn't Ben.
He's one of the 30 subscribers we have, and he just found you.
That's right.
That's crazy. It feels like to be famous. Cool. Well, that's Great story there, John.
Yeah.
Ben, bring on the content. You should just egg his house next time. We should keep doing shit to him so we have
Or
things to talk.
cabbage the house.
Yeah, right. 3 o'clock in the morning, a couch just breaks through your window.
Dunk, dunk, dunk.
Okay, so let's go talk about some of the news that came out today. How I originally saw it, I did see some things on Facebook, but I didn't think it was true because a lot of it was on pages and stuff that has a lot of like false information pretty
Yeah.
often. So I originally, first thing I really saw when they announced season 2 and 3 was a cool little video that I'm not gonna know any of the actors' names. I'm just say that I'm gonna say the actress that played or the actor that played.
Yeah.
So the actor, and I should probably know this because he did voice act a lot for Avatar, but the actor of Fire Lord Ozai,
Daniel Day Kim is his name.
Daniel Day Kim,
Daniel Day Kim.
great guy. He did like a quick little like 7-way call, whatever, with the cast, the main cast, and kind of did like a funny like you guys haven't heard too much about about what's going on next. We don't really know where we're at. Blah blah. Did you see that video?
I actually just saw it before the we started this up.
Yeah, he essentially was.
I didn't hear it, but it was playing with the audio off, and so I didn't actually hear it or view it. But I got the gist of what was going on in the video.
Yeah, he basically told him, he gave him the Switch 22 kind of thing. It was like, he was like, I haven't really heard too much, and they called me into the office today to talk to me, and they basically told me that we're not going to be doing, a season 2, and all the kids kind of looked, sad, and then he was like, we're not doing a season 2 because we got greenlit for season 2 and 3, and they were all like, and it was one of those one of those cool things.
Yeah.
So, and what I took away from it is it was probably a 2-minute video, and what I took away from it was man, these writers suck because these kids look cool. They sound good. They're having fun. You can tell they have good chemistry.
Right.
The kid that played Aang made a joke. It was man, these kids do have charisma, and I guess that's what bad writing does. And I kind of bring me on to the news itself, having a season 2 and 3. The first thing I will say is that my 2 main problems, and I think we agree on this, is the writing, which we keep talking about. They need writers, but also the kids' acting ability. It was anywhere from bad to the average. And I do think as these kids grow into the role and they gain chemistry together and they get a little bit more comfortable in their acting shoes, that they will be better in season 2, especially hopefully. There's a lot of emotional points in season 2 that they didn't have to hit really in season 1. So that's my hopes. That's if I had to go do the drawing board, I would build hopefully these kids can get more chemistry, get some better actors in or better writers in, and better directors. I don't really know if the show was one director that was essentially a showrunner that directed the whole thing, or if there was just a show. I think the show running part was fine. It was just the directing and some of the ways they played out a couple scenes and some of the acting ability. Because from the most important part of a director, it's like a coach, like an NFL coach or something. The most important part of a coach / director is to get the best out of their talent.
Right.
And whoever the director was completely failed on that. Passing it to you, what's your initial thoughts? What are you thinking that they need to improve? And then we can maybe talk a little bit about some of the positives as well.
Yeah, I'm not surprised with the news. I mean, they season 1 ended the way it did, where where there's going to be more. If Netflix would have accepted something, they had more to work off of based off of the ending of season 1. So I'm not surprised.
John, spoiler alert, there is 2 more seasons in the actual show. We know there's more content coming. It's just would it be greenlit? That's all it is.
Right. That's true.
There's still more story to tell. Of course there is.
That's if you say yes to us, please. And so, I mean, it is what it is. I disagree. I don't think my take is that just stop while you're behind. In my
Really?
view, yeah. I mean, obviously, again, like I said, like you do have something to build off of. I just don't want to build. I just don't want them to build off of it because, in my view, they're gonna keep the directing. They're gonna keep the writing
Mhm.
and the dialogue until I see change. I don't want it. And so I totally agree with you on that. And so I just I'm pretty negative about it, to be honest with you. And so I I'm hoping that the changes take place and they move forward and not backward. Um, in the sense of there needs to be change in the writing room and in the acting coaching room and uh, just a lot of changes need to be taken into effect. I I wouldn't mind seeing season two. I think it's gonna be like combination from season one, right? Where season one took parts from season two and season one and combined them. I think season two is gonna mix a lot of things from season two and three, uh, like from the cartoon, a little bit, not a lot,
Well,
but
what could you grab from season 3? I mean, because season 3 they're in the Fire Nation the entire time, and half the time Zuko's on their team. Um, I mean, a lot of Zuko's journey in season 3 is after the Iroh thing, and he's back home. Um, and then a lot of Aang's journey, and I mean the whole team's journey is in the Fire Nation. I can kind of go into the positives really quick because this is kind of
sure,
extending to my point on the positives. I think the one good thing looking back that season 1 did, which we didn't like at first, and it's a negative to season 1, but it's a positive going into season 2, which is they did introduce a lot of concepts, characters, world building that they would be doing in season 2.
yes,
Now they don't have to do it. For instance, like the first 5 or 6 episodes in season 2 is very much an extension of season 1 and building to get to season 2. Like before Toph gets there, before Zula assembles her whole team, like a lot of that is just like, taking episode by episode. Episode 1, Avatar State. Well, we already know about the Avatar State. Aang already knows about the Avatar State. Azul is already introduced. That whole episode isn't even needed. Episode 2, Cave Two Lovers. We've already been there. We've already learned that story. We probably aren't going there again.
nope,
Episode 3, King Umashu. We're going to go back to Umashu, but that whole place is different. So Jet might be there. Like they might combine different elements. Like who knows? Maybe they go back to Umashu and Zuko goes too and runs into Jet then. We don't really know how that's going to play out. But the
right,
swamp, they've already played it out the swamp kind of stuff. Now it was in the spirit world, but they kind of took the idea of what the swamp episode was and kind of spun it into the spirit world. Could they go back into the spirit world and continue some other things? Sure. um, Avatar Day, like we talked about earlier, I mean, that whole episode was kind of a filler besides the Kyoshi moment. We already got
right,
Kyoshi. We already got Kyoshi. We've already learned about Kyoshi.
right,
So, those couple like episodes kind of leading up to introducing Toph have all been kind of done and taken care of. So maybe we can go into season 2 with like quickly introducing Toph, maybe after like maybe in the second episode, and just really get into the good stuff. And um,
that's a good point.
and so, and I hope the chemistry of these kids are a little bit better. Kind of bringing it to like a football analogy, since I am a football fan. John, you can kind of relate to this being a Steeler fan.
Oh,
You're pretty if
here we go.
you're really good, like pretty good, but you have one big flaw. The flaw's hidden because you're pretty good. So if you keep, getting to the playoffs, winning 12 games, but like your quarterback sucks and everyone knows it, like people aren't going to roll. People are going to be like, no, the quarterback's fine. So that analogy takes place with this because it's like the show was successful. Right now, it's on track to be more successful than One Piece. Everyone seems, all the fans, the Avatar fans, are divided, but the majority of the fans are liking it. The majority of like people are saying they like it a lot. And even like people that are mid, they're like, this is mid, this is pretty good. not a lot of people are coming out of it like super negative like us or like you and kind of negative like me, being like the writers are atrocious. And because of that, they're going to keep the writers, like you said, because
Mm-hmm.
there's not going to be enough negative stance against the writers. And they're going to be like, well, the numbers look good. The numbers look good. I mean, 60% of Rotten Tomatoes is a positive score. Our legs are still there. No one's, you know what I mean? Like they're like,
Is it still at 60%?
I don't know, but I mean, after the first like 2 weeks, it was. Since I mean, typically it doesn't move that much because there's not any more new
Yeah.
votes coming in. But so that's kind of my analogy with football. With the football thing is like they are looking at it as a success. So why fire? Why freak out and fire a bunch of people if
I
you want
know.
to be
That's the
successful?
problem. I mean,
But that's the problem because you're successful, but you're a 60%. So yeah, you're winning 10 games and getting to the playoffs and losing in the first round, but that's not really what you could be. And Avatar, if they brought in better writers, I mean, this show, which isn't as good, could easily be a 4 out of 5. Um, if the writing was really good and there
sure.
was a lot of emotional scenes and these actors did better,
Oh yeah, there's not emotion. And I was
yeah,
actually just talking to a buddy of mine, not who's also part of the Cabbage Crew. I was talking to him, and he was like, "Yeah, like looking back, the score of the original,
hmm
like with the music and the background music, the instrumentals, far superior than what we had in the Netflix version, where
yeah,
the score actually helps uh, dramatize the situation more.
in
Like the Songi horn in every sad
the
scene.
original. Oh, in
Yeah,
the
in the original.
yeah,
With the,
yeah, 100%. Like the music and the score added to emotional scenes and
yeah.
emotional parts.
There was none in the live action
And
like that.
certain there are triggers, right? Like we got used to certain sounds in our
Mhm.
brain. Like whenever Azula would show up, there would be a sound, there would be that score. Just
Right.
like heroes have scores, and you would hear scores for certain characters or for certain themes to make you
Right.
feel a certain way. So
Hmm.
you would instantly feel a way when a certain score came on, either if it was something funny or if it was something like season one. I always like kind of make fun of season one because they stopped doing it like halfway through season one. But there's always that like, "Dee-oo," like you hear this little like thing in the back when something funny would happen, and that was like their way of being like, this is a goofy moment.
Right.
And then they got rid of it, but like things like that, they do a good job at this series. Obviously, I mean, they didn't do any of that. Um,
But what I'm
they,
saying is it could have helped. Like even
yeah,
that could have
mhm.
helped. So like whenever he said that, I was like, good point, like because that's um I mean, I didn't really necessarily think of that until he mentioned it. So
Yeah, I mean, and I'm excited. I know you say you're not really excited, but I mean, I am excited to see what they can do. And I will say that I think season two, because season one was so different, season two is going to be very different of a story. So I'm almost more excited to season two than I was of season one, because season one, I look at those 8 episodes and I'm like, we'll see how they pull this off. Like, this is a very episodic story. The first 20 episodes are all, I mean, we've talked about this before. Every episode is kind of its own story, theme, lesson learned, town, new characters.
mhm.
Two is not as much like that. So they can kind of just make it a little bit more of a smooth ride. Um, I do think that they might take some, I mean, they're going to be taking some things out, either if it's small things like, again, the Cave of Two Lovers or Avatar, the Swamp, Avatar Day stuff, or if it's bigger things like, God forbid, Appa getting taken,
Right.
or
Spoiler alert.
yeah, spoiler alert. Or again, the whole bossing say stuff. Maybe they'll do bossing say, but not the same way with the Dai Li and Long Feng.
But
Um,
how do you not do that? I
well, that's what
guess.
I'm saying, but I mean, you never know. So, um, I do think they did a good job at understanding what was important in season one. They were like, okay, the spirit world was important, Omashu was important, Kyoshi was important, the Northern Woodland tribe was important. Everything else, like we don't need Zhang Zhang.
Well, yeah, you're right. It's about what was important, but how is it executed? Like that, like
Yeah,
that's
100%.
so. for me, and I know I hate being I wanted to like it, but and I hate being like the nebuloser, the down, like always down on it. But it's just it's hard to be excited about it when we've already seen what it is.
But wouldn't you
That's
agree that? Well, I guess you don't agree with this. I don't think you do. Maybe I don't know. Wouldn't you agree season one's the worst season of Avatar: Last Airbender anime? So like, if they can improve in the writing and the actors are gonna get better, like they just will. They're getting older. Like these aren't 13, 12-year-old actors anymore. They're in their 15 years old, 16 years old. So like if the writing gets better, if the acting gets better, we know the story's not going to be as clunky because that's just season 2 and season 3 is not as clunky as season 1 when it comes to episodic places. They've already set up a lot of stuff in season 2, in season 1. So it's like, wouldn't you agree that making a season 2, even coming off of what a lot of people look at is a failure of season 1, it will be easier to make a good season 2 now than it would have been if they like if they made a season 1 a little bit different than they did.
I would say that I there would normally be hope if there was something to hope for, and so I just don't see it. I really don't. I obviously the actors are getting older, so like they're maturing, so that's good.
Mhm.
So I have hope for that, where like they might become better actors, but like uh
Think any of them get a role between now and then?
I think
Big role?
uh
Role with
the
recognize?
Aang's Gordon, I forget his last name, Gordon something,
Mhm.
um is he's gonna get something before season 2, I
You
think,
think?
and Sokka. I think it's they're all they're all decently, most of them are decently known child actors now. Um, so I would say a good chunk of them. Well, I don't think Katara will. I don't think uh, whoever her actress is.
Mhm.
I don't think she will. But I think Azula.
I
I
think
think
Azula will. Yeah.
Gordon, who's Aang, and I think whoever plays Sokka is going to get something. What something smaller? Like they're child actors. They're
Right.
not going to get anything like big, but you know.
Well, I mean, I think when we watch, I compare it to Stranger Things and even One Piece because those are all other teenager Netflix series, but like I can't
Right.
really think of any of the actors in One Piece that like got a role pretty quickly and was like a star slash like pretty important piece. Even like we did a little bit in Stranger Things, like Millie Bobby Brown obviously became pretty successful, and a couple of those kids were in smaller things, smaller roles. One kid was in It and a couple other things, and
That was a well-run show, though. That was completely
right.
different. And so what I'm trying to get at is like we clearly see these actors have potential. Like I'm not trying to downplay like their acting ability. It's
Mhm.
it's their coach. It's the
I agree
offensive
with you.
coordinator, Matt. It's the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, Kenny
It,
Pickett's great.
but it's the adult it's the adult in the room
Mhm.
who is coaching them. Whoever, I'm sure there's multiple coaches, but it's the head person in the room who's laying the groundwork for all of it. That's, in my opinion, that's who's more to blame than
Yeah,
the acting itself. And obviously, like the writing, the writing coach, the
yeah.
the
The writing
direct,
and directing. I mean, if we're gonna point fingers, it's the writing, directing, acting in that
yeah,
order. You
well,
know,
acting coach, yeah.
acting coach. I mean, look, these kids were picked for a reason.
Yeah,
If you're, you know, if you have a scene and it's horrible and it's cringy, it is somewhat on the actor because these are actors. Like this isn't
right,
a school play. Um, you were picked. Great power comes great responsibility. It's like
yeah,
you are the kid that's playing Aang. So yeah, some of the blame has to go on you a little bit. I'm not putting all of it, but
right.
um,
And
it
like,
is interesting.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say like the Gordon who plays Aang,
Mm,
like, and I was telling you this yesterday about like how he was on Jimmy Fallon, like 5 days ago,
Mhm.
and he was just describing how he got the part and how like Netflix like essentially begged him to take the part even after he declined. Like he didn't really necessarily want it, um, and he ended up getting it after Netflix begged. And I think part of the reason that he was implying was that he had the martial arts skills from like age. He like did martial art classes from like 4 to 6,
Yeah.
and like did a lot of. It was I think it was Taekwondo is what he did, and
Yeah,
so
that's
like
a bad sign.
yeah, and so he had that, and then but then ever since then he was like, I'm so thankful for Avatar because like ever since then I've watched it 26 times.
I saw that. Yeah, it's bad. Well, it's a bad sign that they cared more about the martial art and less about the acting. You know,
Correct.
you can teach someone how to get a 6-pack ab and do a backflip within a fucking month.
Right.
What you can't teach is like good charisma and really good acting ability. That's something that comes in. I mean, someone that does not know how to act, it takes them years to learn how to act, unless you're just a very like gifted person. So I would have much rather have gotten a guy that doesn't know how to do any of that stuff and be like, all right, we're going to give you a 6-month boot camp of how to, do some acrobatics.
Right.
Uh,
So
it's like finding a bald guy to be Professor X, and it's like, well, why? Well, he was bald and he kind of looked like the part. Oh, can he act?
right.
um,
So my question going back to the topic at hand is like, what do you think season 2 will bring? Like, what episodes do you think they're going to touch the most?
yeah, I mean, if we can assume that there's 8 episodes, let's just
Sure.
assume that.
Soon.
I would say episode 1 would be kind of a combination of, I would say a combination of maybe the Avatar state. I'm going to throw a curveball at you.
Um,
They're going to be looking for a earthbending teacher. They're going to try to go to Boom Boom, Boom Boom Boom.
boom boom.
They're going to try to go to Boom. I mean, that's basically, it was a different character. They're going to try to go to Boomy, and they're going to run into Jean Jean.
I was gonna say that.
And
I
he's
agree.
gonna skip the idea. He's just learned waterbending. He's feeling good, and he's gonna because they have to introduce him, and he learns. He tries to learn firebending at the same time. You have Zuko's story going on, and then it doesn't happen. They're like, okay, no problem. We have our earthbending teacher. Let's go. They get there. Boom! It's taken over by the Fire Nation.
Yep.
Episode 2 will most likely introduce the idea of Azula being there. I do think that Zuko will somehow, some way either get there or run. Him and Aang might cross, but it might be more of Zuko maybe running into Jet. Maybe you introduced that earlier. There will be some Zuko in there, but by the time the episode ends, Aang leaves. He's now looking for another teacher. Zuko and Iroh split up. Then you get,
You think that's episode 2?
and it's episode 2. Episode
Wow.
3 will be them fighting Toph. While Zuko is kind of on his own, and then they will have them finding Toph, everything with Toph, and then probably have the chase in there too. Maybe they leave town and they get chased down. Episode 4 will most likely be the combination of the library and desert, Appa getting taken.
You think the library is gonna exist?
I think so. Yeah, because they have to learn about they want to learn about the solar eclipse. I mean, I think it will still be in
Well,
there.
who says that's even part of the thing
Well, it
anymore?
might not be, but I mean, it has to be. But even if it is, it's just they introduced. I always forget his name, but the Spirit of Knowledge, and I think that's a good
Wan
way.
Shi Tong.
Well, yeah, and that's a good way to reintroduce them. And they're like, oh yeah, this guy that kind of helped us out last time, and then
Right.
they betray him, they quote unquote betray him. So that'll be episode 4. Episode 5 can be a lot of the Appa stuff. Them getting the bossing say will be probably episode 6. So 5 might be a combination of like Appa's lost days, even though that happens later, but like just them looking for Appa, them going to the Serpent's Past, some more Zuko stuff, some made up shit, Episode 6 will be them there. They're, bossing say, learn about the walls, learn about Dai Li. And then I'm thinking episode 7 could easily be again some new stuff, some stuff with Zuko. I'm sure he might run into Aang, or maybe you just have some character development with Zuko and have Lake Lao guy in there.
Right.
Maybe it ends with them meeting the Earth Kingdom or Earth King. And then last episode would be the finale. Episode would be the Crossroads of Destiny slash the Guru slash Crossroads of Destiny with some sprinkled and made up stuff in there.
You don't think anything from season
Goes off,
3?
huh?
Sorry, so you don't think anything from season 3 is going to creep into season 2?
And I don't think that season 2 is going to have as many changes as season 1 because season 1 they had to make a lot of changes because of how they had to make the story. They just did. So I don't think season 2 needs it as much.
Okay.
And now they just have to kind of like take away some of the filler. Not filler, I'd say filler, but there are filler episodes that you could say like Avatar Day doesn't need to be there, you know. I mean, could they go back to Kyoshi somehow? Sure. But they don't need Avatar Day. They don't need even Serpent's Pass or the drill. Like one of those episodes don't need to be there. They're important, but they're important
For different reasons. Yeah.
for different reasons. Like again, it's about hitting the notes and hitting the spots you need to hit. So that's how I see that. I do know there's going to be a gap too, like a 3-year gap or a 2-year gap or an 8-month gap. It's not going to necessarily go. Season 1 is in winter and season 2 is in spring and season 3 is in the summer. Like it for all we know, it might be summertime a year and a half later. Like we don't know. So, I mean, for all we know, this season might be a year. Like there might be a time they might find Toph, and maybe they're in Boston Same for an entire year. But we don't know.
So right, that's true. My last question for you that I can think of and relates to this is, the show ends season 1 with Azula ruling over Omashu. Do you think? And I obviously this kind of makes sense because of how we know the story, but like, do you think that she just like ups and abandons her leadership in Omashu? Like, who would she leave it to? Do you think she's going to leave it to Main Tai Li? That could be a thing. Like, she leaves it to Main Tai Li and she's on her own. Probably not, but like that's an option.
Why not?
But like, do you just think she just ups and leaves her post, and who would take over in Omashu?
Well, she took over Amashu doesn't mean she's running Amashu. I mean, she's gonna leave her post because that's how you're gonna get her involved in the battle with
Right.
the chase against against Zuko essentially to go get her to go get Aang. I mean, I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, they make up a new character, just like they made up a couple characters in our
Combustion Man.
season. I mean, it might be as simple as they name it New Ozai, and there's a new mayor there. That's the Fire Nation mayor, and she's just running the military, making sure everything's going smooth. And boom,
Maze God, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, predictions right there. I mean, is there any before we end? Just because we've been talking about 30 minutes about it. I mean, is there any predictions? Is there anything that you think might be left out, added? It seems like you asked about season 3. Is there anything that you think might be added in season 3, or any new things, or maybe things we missed in season 1 that could be potentially in this season to make up for it?
Actually, they might
season 2.
Right. They might touch on the more of the air temples this season. I think like they might touch Western, they might touch Northern. They're obviously going to touch Eastern with the Guru if that's the route that they go. But I think they might touch maybe 2 air temples minimum this season.
Okay.
Season 3. Maybe like they could make the Avatar and the Fire Lord episode potentially in season 2, like another Roku meeting.
Yeah, that's very true.
Just telling the backstory of those,
yeah, and they could do more at the spirit world because it seemed like they were heavy in the spirit. Like Avatar: Last Airbender really didn't have much in the spirit world. Like Aang went to the spirit world twice, I think, in the entire series.
At least 3.
So he went to the spirit world. He didn't go at all in season 3 because he didn't have access to it.
No, he did with Roku.
Oh, yeah, I got
If you're counting that,
that's
that's
a
just
memory. Yeah, yeah. He like more. Yeah, he wasn't in the spirit world though. That was, I guess you could say it was, but yeah, I don't count that as the spirit world. I'm talking about like the actual spirit world,
okay.
not like looking at yeah, I get what you mean. So like, I mean, the ones I think of are the spirit, the episode that he goes and meets Roku,
Mhm.
like that two-parter, and then like the
Yeah.
finale.
Mhm. Right.
That's like it, right? Season 2, he doesn't go in the spirit world. I guess for a minute when he jumps on his Fang's back and learns about the Avatar state.
Right. That's if you're counting that,
And
you
that's
know.
if you're counting that. That's like that's not them in the spirit world. That's them riding and looking at clouds. So like he doesn't really go into the spirit world much in the
No.
entire series. Um, you know, so like I mean they go. I mean Korra, you get a bunch, and they might pull stuff from Korra. Like who knows? Maybe
Oh
they go.
God, if they do.
No,
Oh
I'm
my
saying like
God.
it wouldn't be crazy for them to go into that fog area, the fog of lost souls or whatever it's called, and Zhao's there, and they have like a quick scene with Zhao, and it's like he was in Korra, and
Oh,
like I mean I'm not saying it's gonna happen. I wouldn't say that's gonna be a good thing. I'm just saying like I could see them referring to things from Korra, in the sense of like the spirit world stuff.
right.
Um, so yeah.
All right.
Anyway, long video about it. Um, but yeah, what's your guys' thoughts? Cabbage Crew's thoughts. I really want to know your thoughts about that note that John found. Um, that's really what I'm thinking. So,
Go
but
eat a
also,
cabbage.
yeah, but also, what are I know most people are probably excited. So I'm gonna just ask, what is one thing that you hope that they let's say a curveball here. What's one thing that you hope that they do not have in season 2 from the anime? One thing that you're like, I could do without this because of this reason. Season 2 is pretty perfect, in my opinion. But like, what's one thing that you kind of hope they don't have because you know that there's just not enough time, or maybe they've already covered it. I hope we don't get a lot of Boomy. Spoiler alert.
He's gonna be locked in his cage
Hopefully
going,
Boomy's just
"With
dead.
the Avatar."
Like, hopefully Boomy is just dead.
Remember when Sokka was like, "We don't even know if Boomy's still around."
Yeah, yeah. So, what's one thing that you guys hope is not in this season, and what is one thing that you're looking forward to, and we're looking for how they adapt it? Is it Ba Sing Se? Is it Longfeng and the Dai Li? Is it the library? Whatever. Put it down below. Uh, this was our quick little news thing that ended up being as long as a podcast, but it will be looked at as more of a news story. So, look for our next podcast next Wednesday.
Yes, and
Check
please
out the
subscribe,
podcast
Cabbage
on
Crew. Or
Wednesday.
if you're not part of the crew, please subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe. Join the Cabbage Crew. I don't care if you want to just egg John's house. I'm fine with that.
Go eat a cabbage.
Peace.